Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Scythe, and today we're going to continue to play Seeds of Chaos. In the last episode, we had finally reached the castle of Karnas. And, well, things did not end up as well as we thought it would. We ended up getting captured, and we spent close to a year, if not more, in a dungeon down there. And so now, Ysera, the blue demon, the daughter of Karnas, has decided to finally offer us a deal. Do our bidding and help us overthrow the world of man, as it were. So, yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, we're not gonna release your darling wife Alexia. You will do your job and we will keep her safe here, so you do not cross her backs and whatnot. So yeah, that's the predicament we're in at the moment. And Alexia here is just waiting for her turn to shine or whatever. And she still has the blue necklace that she got from Astras. Yeah. Let's see what's going to happen next. So, let's go. Another day, another month passed. How many had it been since Arthdale? 6? More? The same dull repetition over and over again. Over and over again. Alexia's confinement had turned from intolerable suffering to miserable tedium. She arose groggily at midday most times now, filled with a sense of dull lethargy. She had given up all childish notions of escape, and even the books in the library had failed to retain her interest. As she put on her clothes, her hand drifted idly to the necklace stuck upon her neck. Knock, knock. Alexia yelped, her hands snapping up to cross her chest. Relax, I didn't see anything. It wouldn't matter if you had. The demon grinned at her, leaning casually against the wall as he looked her up and down. Well, if you say it doesn't matter. She let out a long-suffering sigh. Even his annoying intrusion had become a mundanity to her. What is it now, Lord Andras? Oh, you're calling him Lord again now, huh? Why do I need a reason to visit you? Maybe I thought I would just stop by to brighten up your day. It feels like midnight outside. Andras guffawed in his predictably extravagant manner. Come on, you can do better than that. Maybe I thought I was just wasting my time if I did. To her mild surprise, Andras' expression flattened. The cocky smile on his grin faded away, and he regarded her with an intense look. You should be more worried about wasting my time. It was only for the briefest of moments, but his eyes grew cold. A shiver ran down her spine. The moment passed, and the mocking smile returned. So he's kind of unhinged, is what I'm getting at here. And here I was, thinking you'd be excited to hear news about your long-lost husband. Rowan is... She tried to hide it, but Andras' knowing smirk told her he knew her heart had skipped a beat. Rowan was alive. He was coming here. Part of her was ecstatic about the news, but part of her was terrified of what that might mean. Where is he? Well, I came here to tell you, but obviously you don't want me around, so... Just tell me, you bastard! No. Ugh! Maybe if you asked me nicely. Alexia gritted her teeth. His voice was like glass in her ears, but she desperately wanted to know what had happened to her beloved. Please. Please who? Please, Lord Andras. Please what? Please tell me about my husband, Lord Andras. His self-satisfied smirk was twice as insufferable as usual. She set her jaw and glared at him in return, in an effort to retain what little dignity she had left. Seems your husband has been busy since we brought you here. After his escape, he went straight to the capital. Rastadel, I think it was. Nobles there seemed quite excited to hear from him, after all the rumors of demons and orcs roaming the countryside. Your demons and orcs. Andra's petty grin widened. Maybe. But now he's got a big important job hunting them all down. He's been at it for months, crisscrossing Rosaria from Blackhole to the sea, destroying their camps wherever he finds them. Is this truth? Is this what happened when we weren't watching, basically? Or is he full of shite? Alexia's heart sank. Memories of her lonely years in Ostdale during the war flashed through her head. She knew her husband. She knew that he was willing to put aside personal feelings for the sake of the greater good. Was this a repeat of that nightmare? Strange though. My scout report he hasn't made an inch of progress towards Bloodmean. Oh, he's full of shit. If anything, he seems quite cozy in his new position. Oh, he's... Oh, he's lying to us in order for her to feel more gratuitous towards Andras. So she'll sleep with him. Ooh. It's almost as if he forgot about you. F*** you! Oh, I fully intend to. Oh no. What? I'm going to f*** you. His teasing grin never left his face. He was deadly serious, despite the nonchalance of his body language. That is never going to happen. Why not? With Rowan gone, who do you have left? The window. Andras laughed. He leaned close, far, far too close. Alexia took an angry step back out of his personal space. Beneath all that bluster, you're desperate for a taste, aren't you? He let the implication hang in the air, his grin widening as he tried to put himself on display. Alexia kept her eyes trained warily to his. Think about it. Your husband left you, you have no other options. Why not indulge yourself a little? I promise you won't regret it. Get out! Andras chuckled, withdrawing her from her immediate perimeter with a wink and an exaggerated swagger. He paused at the door to shoot her one last look. Tonight, for one night only, my room will be left unlocked. When you're ready to get f***ed the right way, you know where to find me. Alexia stared angrily at the door as it closed behind him, as if her burning spite could melt through the door into the back of his fat, pompous head. She is seriously considered his offer. She had absolutely no interest in him. Why are you putting me through this? We know that our loving husband Rowan is right here. Well, I, the player, know that. So, I don't like option. Well, it's always going to happen. It's always going to exist. But I don't particularly like options that are simply and only for the sole purpose of let's fuck around. I don't like that. It's a me thing. It's something that will always exist in adult visual novels, but they are kind of lackluster. She had absolutely no interest in him. His vulgarity and crude comments did less than nothing for her. It was just another reason to hate him, to add to all the others. Andras really thought it was worth her time. Lelek couldn't have been more off-putting if he tried. He had kidnapped her, attacked her husband, sequestering her in a room alone for months on end with no one to talk to but him. What did he think she thought of him? What kind of woman did he take her for? It didn't matter. Whatever he assumed about her, he was wrong, and Alexia couldn't be happier about that fact. Had we gone to his room, we would have a different scene right now. Rowan awoke to feel a sharp jab in his ribs. He opened his eyes to see an orc towering over him, his metal boot pressed into his side. Get up, Yumi. It's time to go. Rowan rose to his feet and attempted to shake off the vestigial remnants of sleep. His leg twinged as he stood. Where am I going? No questions. Go. The orc gave Rowan a solid shove in the direction of the door, and the human walked ahead of him out of the cell and into the corridor. Kind of strange that they wrote "and the human walked," not Rowan. They cleaned and bathed him, saying nothing when he asked them what was going on. You could only guess as to their intentions when they dressed him in new clothes. Ooh. The throne room was larger than he remembered. It was a long walk to the dais, flanked on either side by pillars of obsidian, and then, up those stairs, the throne. What little light there was in the room was reflected off the black stone of the seat of power, obsidian perhaps, making the imposing centerpiece even more so. Twisted with long appendages, like tentacles, it seemed to him like the very manifestation of chaos itself. Andras stood before the dais, arms crossed with a dark look on his face. He glared at Rowan as he entered the room. Ysera, by contrast, was perched lazily on the arm of the throne, her leg crossed over the other as she watched Rowan approach with a smile. When they reached the dais, the orc removed the manacles from his wrists and left Rowan alone with them in the cavernous room. Enjoying your accommodations, human? Where is my wife? No need for dramatics, Rowan. She is safe and sound, as promised. You will see her soon enough, provided we get the answers we desire. Rising from the throne to her feet, she flashed Rowan a familiar and knowing smirk. Before we discuss anything else, I must know. How is it possible that you are alive? I was told Karna's surviving children were purged. Oh, they certainly tried. We proved to be resilient to such efforts. We grew up in the Empire of Sand. Our mother was nobody special, just a village girl from the eastern deserts. But she was beautiful, wise beyond her years. Nearly a decade before the war started, Cardinals went in secret, traveling the world, learning what he could, gathering allies and scouting his future foes. When he came to her sand-choked village, he chose her to bed with. He revealed himself to her, and she fell in love at first sight. Oh, did she now? She gave herself to him, body and soul. She said the pleasure was unlike anything she had ever felt, before or after. Why do you have these details? I mean, demons have a different have different stance, I guess. But your human mother would still not enjoy talking about this, most likely. When the war began in earnest, the whole village knew who her children belonged to. They called her all sorts of names, spat at her in the street, but she was proud to be one of Karna's. He lingered in that village longer than any other that he stopped at in his travels. Eventually he moved on. He had a war to win after all, but he left our mother in a final parting gift. Twins. A few months later, Andras and I were born. So this is about revenge. Andras let out a contemptuous snort, folding his arm over his chest. Why would we want revenge for someone we never met? As I told you before, hero, we are not Karnas and we don't intend to make the same mistakes he did. We want only one thing. Our birthright. Our father came within the hair's breadth of ruling this world. When his time was over, it should have passed to us. Okay, so they are not doing this for good reasons. You will serve us and help us recover what is rightfully ours. You will help us conquer the 6 realms. The reason we have summoned you, human, is because my sister has convinced me to give you another chance. You have killed my men, defied our will, and had the gall to attack my sibling in our own castle. Were it up to me, you'd have already been tossed to the orcs. But my sister says she's finally knocked some sense into you. Is that true? As some time alone in that cell brought you to your senses. Now, let's see here. Oh, this is difficult actually, because we Alexius remembered that he was willing to do anything for the sake of the kingdom. Even sacrifice time with his wife, essentially. So refuse is a very possible thing to do. But agree to serve the twins allows Alexia's security and her life, as well as we might be able to see her possibly. And it's been approximately a year since he saw her, so f*** the country. Alexia. Oh, wow. Agree to serve the twins to bide his time. Agree to serve the twins to avoid dying in the dungeon. Ooh, I get to choose why. Agree to serve the twins to see Alexia again. Agree to serve the twins because Ysera was convincing. Oh. To bide his time. Is that to just waste time, basically? Agree to serve the twins to see Alexia again. That is our goal, after all. Rowan would cross any line, make any sacrifice to see Alexia's smiling face again. It did not matter in the moment if he was selling his soul, so long as he knew that she was safe. Whatever fate might befall them by swearing allegiance to the twins, at least they'd get a chance to choose. If he didn't take the deal, then everything he'd done for her up to this point had been all for naught. Yes, I swear my service to you. Ysera clapped her hands together with joy. She looked positively delighted at his response. Wonderful! Then the first order of business. She pivoted around and grabbed a small amulet sitting on the arm of the throne. She inspected it for a brief moment, then tossed it to Rowan. Is it the other half of Alexia's necklace? Put this on. Rowan stared at the blue sapphire in the center, feeling a queasy sensation settle in his gut. He turned it over in his hands, running his fingers across the thin gold chain. What the hell is this? Yeah, we are doing the bidding, but we're not the... we're doing it against our better judgment. What the hell is this? What does it look like? An amulet. One you wouldn't give to me without cause. Remember what I told you before, hero, about insurance policies? Well, this is one of them. What will it do to me? That question is irrelevant. You just pledged to serve us. Put it on. Now. Play ball. Play ball. The hero Rosara gritted his teeth. He knew he had no choice. To find the twins on their very first order set a dangerous precedent, one he couldn't afford if he wished to survive this ordeal. Andra's evil grin grew wider as Rowan set the medallion around his neck, running his fingers across the smooth gem. That necklace is to ensure your obedience, okay, so we don't get to contact Alexia. It will allow us to communicate with one another telepathically, no matter where you are. No more skulking about the castle for you. We can track your movement and transport you back to the castle at will. You work for us now. Another prison. Rowan thought to himself as he idly tried to remove the thing. To his utter lack of surprise, it refused to budge. It was heavily enchanted. Ysera looked almost bubbly with glee. She strode up to Rowan, lifting the necklace from his neck and inspected it, a slow smile building up on her face. You don't know how happy this makes me, Rowan. Are you finished dressing up your new doll? Dude, you did the same thing with Alexia. Shut up. 'Cause I know a different way he can prove his loyalty. Ysera, far from seeming annoyed by his comments, shot Rowan a sly look. You know, brother, I think you're right. Why don't you show us how willing you are to serve? Oh no. The pair were hardly being subtle. It was clear they wanted him to serve one of them sexually. It was up to him to decide. Well, Yeah, no. Service is Sarah. Service is such a strange word, though. Maintain your dignity. Is it in for a penny, in for a dollar? Or are we saying, no, only Alexia? Let's try this. Roman lifted his chin and shook his head, denying them that final total conquest of his pride. Ysera's smile, however, did not waver. How disappointing. But no matter, you promise a loyalty, and that necklace will have to suffice for now. We'll see if we can't pry that prudish heart of yours open in time. Oh, well, that was boring. I thought they were going to attacking. Possibly together. She winked at him. Well, now that's all out of the way, we can get straight to work. I want to see my wife. Too bad your answer to us now. Soon, Rowan, I promise. You just need to run a little errand for us first. Scouting mission. Call it a test run. In the meantime, we have prepared a room for you. The guard will show you theirs now. Get some rest, hero. Tomorrow is the first day of your new life. Oh, much better looking room. The orc guard escorted Rowan from the throne room to the guest wing of the castle. They brought him to one of the rooms, then ushered him inside before closing the door behind him. Rowan chuckled wryly after hearing the sound of his door being locked and that one of the guards hadn't left it with the others. He may have had better accommodations now, but he was still a prisoner. He surveyed his surroundings, immediately spotting his equipment laying on the bed, the gear that had been stolen from him when he'd been captured all those months ago. He picked up the blade, wincing in pain from the effort thanks to the stiffness in his arms. As he felt the waver in his grip from the long months of inactivity, his eyes wandered to a lone piece of parchment sitting on the nearby desk. Upon it, scrawled in elegant flowing character, was a single phrase. 6 window north tower. Rowan stared at it for a long moment, then immediately began to dress. After making his way to the north tower, he found the room the note had mentioned blocked by a host of orcish guards. He managed to steal away into a room the floor below, and shimmied up the wall toward the window. The climb should have been easy for him. He had done it countless times on the walls of Karst during the siege, but his weakened arms burned with effort. His lungs screamed at him to rest. Sheer will was all that kept him going. He would see Alexia again. So, who did this? Who ensured that we could see Alexia again? The only 2 people I can think of is Ysera, even though that's very unlikely, and that human, woman, witch, sorcerer, whatever she was. Alexia sat alone in the darkness at the edge of her bed, staring at the window, trying desperately to hold back tears. She didn't know why her breaking point was tonight of all nights. Nothing particularly untoward had happened. Her daily trudge to the library had been boring and uneventful. The maids were quiet, and the orcs ignored her as always. The sky was full of just as many stars as yesterday. Yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. Her lip quivered. She thought about Arthdale all the time now, more than when she first left. She clung to those warm memories like she was drowning, her fist clenched at her lap. Oh, goddess. Hope was such a subtle thing to lose. She'd be fine after tonight. She knew she would. Tomorrow she'd wake up, put on her mask, and bury it all once more. Again and again, as long as it took. Till Rowan came for her, or fate decided otherwise. But morning was still a long way off, and the walls of her gilded cage bore down on her with an oppressive weight. She put her head in her hands. What am I going to do? A sudden knocking on her bedroom window stirred her from the despondent reverie. She looked up, her dull eyes matching gazes with an onlooker from outside her bedroom window. She stared at him for a long moment, uncomprehending. Rowan! Time seemed to slow to a crawl. Alexia leapt up from the spot at the end of the bed and rushed over to the windowsill. Her hands clumsily fiddled with the lock, half frantic as her heartbeat pounded in her chest. She flung open the window, nearly cracking the pane in the process. Rowan! She took hold of her husband's hand to help pull him up. His grin was wider than she'd ever seen it. He clung to her hand as if it was the only thing keeping him from falling. She had all but yanked him into the room with her. Yeah. Good for them. They actually get to meet again. They embraced. It was wordless. A long moment of silence passed as they simply held each other. Alexia. Rowan. Oh, goddess Rowan. The tears flowed freely now. She was laughing. She thought it was hard to pay attention to anything but the feels of his arms around her and his familiar warmth. Her mind was going 1,000,000 miles a minute. You came! You really came! Of course I did. I feel like a princess in a storybook. Rowan pulled back, smiling at her with a cocky grin of his. She giggled, feeling almost bashful at the sudden, unexpected intimacy of the moment. Rowan's eyes trailed downwards, towards the necklace at her neck. His face fell. What's wrong? Nothing, love. He did his lie poorly, but Alexia was too giddy to care. She clung to him, burying her head in his chest. I missed you so much. Me too. Where have you been? Goddess, it's been so long. I arrived at Bloodsmead several months ago. This was the first chance I had to find you. What? I was captured. The demons, Ysera and Andras, threw me in a prison after I refused to help them take over the 6 realms. Those bastards! Andras lied to me. He said you never arrived. That you had left me behind to hunt orcs in Rosaria. Nothing could be farther from the truth, Alexia. All this time you were... More tears came. This time hot and wet and angry dollops down her cheeks. She fell into Rowan's arms and held him tight, her throat constricting as she struggled to steady her breath. But since you're here now, that means you managed to escape, right? Rowan drew Alexia's gaze to the necklace with a blue gemstone he was wearing, a twin to her own. Her face turned white. No. I didn't escape, love. I agreed to serve them. No, Rowan, please. It was the only way I could guarantee your safety. He stroked her face, his lips turning downward. I had to do it, Alexia. So, we're stuck here. For now, until I figure a way out of this mess. But, whatever happens... Rowan's hand reached out to clasp her necklace. She looked up at his solemn face. We're in this together now. Her lips tilted upward. She felt a flutter in her chest. Alexia leaned up, her lips brushing across his as she pulled her head down toward him. Rowan reciprocated, and the two shared a long, passionate kiss. Who is this then? Let's see, does Andras even knock anymore? The sudden loud rapping of heavy hands on the door to the bedroom made Alexia jump in place. Rowan glanced at the door, then at her. She softly shook her head. Ignore it. They kissed again, savoring the moment, however brief, together. Good morning, hero. How was it sleeping in a bed again? Better than a dungeon cell? Well, let's hope it was. And I guess we are not in bed. In our bed, that is. We're maybe in someone else's bed. Well, we'll see how this turns out. Is she going to be really mad? Or is she going to say that this was all expected and be happy and go lucky with it? We will only find out in the next episode. And remember, just because you're not the main character doesn't mean you're not important. Goodbye, everyone.